Jonathan Luna was born on October the 21st, 1996, and grew up in the Patterson housing project near the Yankee Stadium in South Bronx, New York. His father was Filipino and waited tables at local restaurants, and his mother was African American from the Deep South. In high school, Luna was slightly different from the other kids, often showing up for class wearing suits and ties. Luna loved clothes and loved fashion. At 6 foot tall, he was also athletic and would run marathons in his spare time. Luna was determined to make it out of the South Bronx housing project, and while the other kids were shooting hoops or getting into trouble, Luna would stay in and read or learn. After graduating high school, he obtained a history degree from Fordham University in 1987. At this point, Jonathan had set his sights on law school. After a brief spell of travelling, Jonathan enrolled at the University of North Carolina School of Law. While here, he would room with Reggie Shuford, someone who would go on to be a close friend. The pair rented a 2-bedroom apartment, which cost $345 a month. Luna did most of the cooking, something he enjoyed, and it wouldn't be long before he had someone else to cook for, as during his time in North Carolina he met Angela Hopkins, a medical student. He was smitten when he first laid eyes on her. They dated exclusively, and the couple married on August 29, 1993, and would later go on to have 2 children. That same year, Luna practiced law for a year at Arnold and Porter in Washington, but decided the public sector was a better fit. In 1994, he took a job at the Federal Trade Commission, and after this, in 1997, he served as a prosecutor with the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. When an opportunity arose in 1999 to work for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Baltimore, Luna jumped at the chance. Initially, everything went well. Luna worked hard, staying late and coming in early. He earned the respect of his colleagues with both his work rate but also his personality. He was smart, kind, funny, but most importantly, loyal. His boss would describe him as bright, engaging, and enthusiastic. And during his time there, he prosecuted around 80 cases, mostly involving drugs. It appeared that everything was going well. However, that would change with the arrival of a new boss. His original boss left as she was appointed to the Court of Appeals. Thomas DiBaggio, who replaced her, wasn't a fan of Luna. The young prosecutor had cut deals in a case or two over DiBaggio's objections, and he and Jonathan didn't see eye to eye. Then came the case that may have cost Luna his life. The trial was supposed to be short and simple. A Baltimore man, Naco Brown, accused of a string of bank robberies, and Luna and his co-prosecutor had key evidence that eventually would put Brown away for 25 years. The evidence was tens of thousands of dollars, seized from a safe in the apartment of Brown's accomplice. But in a bizarre turn, FBI Special Agent Anthony Campano wheeled the unmarked cash into the courtroom on a cart. It was highly unusual for such a stunt to be pulled, possibly done for dramatic effect. It worked. A jury found Brown guilty on September the 26th, 2002. However, something odd occurred. One of the packages of money went missing, approximately $36,000 worth. Federal authorities launched an investigation. Rumours circulated around the courthouse that Luna may have substantial credit card debt, leading some to question whether he had something to do with the missing cash, something he denied and those closest to him don't believe. But Luna was troubled by it. It happened on his watch. and his already strained relationship with his boss would now get worse. At this point, it was no secret in the office that the two did not like each other. Luna had received a less than positive performance review, and the missing money, which the FBI put the blame firmly with the US Attorney's Office, was bringing things to a head, and it appeared DiBaggio was looking to move him on. Jonathan was starting to feel the effects of everything going on, colleagues said. He became less attentive to his work and less focused at this point. The poor relationship with his boss, the missing money, and on top of that, Luna's current drug trafficking case was falling apart. He had just been fined for turning up late for court, and then within days he would be dead. December the 3rd, 2003. Jonathan left the home he shared with his wife and 2 young sons. He spent the morning in court and the evening hammering out a plea deal with defence attorneys. He then told one of these lawyers he was heading home. However, he would not. At 11:38 p.m, Luna's car left the office garage. His cell phone and eyeglasses were still on his desktop. His car travelled northeast on Interstate 95. Luna's Easy Pass was used to pay tolls in Maryland and Delaware. Just before 1 a.m, $200 was withdrawn from his bank account at an ATM in the JFK Plaza Service Center in Newark, Delaware. At around 4 a.m, his car exited the Pennsylvania Turnpike. The driver had used cash instead of the Easy Pass to pay tolls on the New Jersey and Pennsylvania turnpikes. The toll ticket had blood on it, suggesting at this point Jonathan was injured. The following day, on December the 4th at 5 a.m, a worker arrived at his job as a driller on Dry Tavern Road. The area doesn't see much traffic, being fairly remote. Even most locals don't travel it. So he was surprised to see a 4-door silver Honda Accord with its lights off and the front end in the stream. Upon closer inspection, blood was smeared over the driver's door and the front left of the car. He called the local authorities. Pennsylvania State Police troopers noticed blood on the driver's door and a fender, and a large pool of blood in the back. The blood had seeped through the front seat to the floor in the rear. Around $200 was strewn around the back seat. The Honda's engine was idling, but there was nothing to indicate the car had been in an accident. Outside of the car, face down in the stream, was a man wearing a suit and a black overcoat, with a coat ID around his neck. The body was that of Jonathan Luna. An investigation would now begin, but the results of that investigation would leave far more questions than answers. An autopsy concluded that Jonathan Luna had been stabbed 36 times around the chest and neck area with his own pocket knife. He also had a head injury. The cause of death, however, was said to be due to drowning. Many of the wounds were superficial, what authorities describe as hesitation cuts, but his left carotid artery had been punctured, which would cause him to bleed to death in minutes. Based on one thing, the physical evidence, the Lancaster County coroner would rule it as a homicide. There was a fingernail wound that appeared to be defensive. There was also a few bruises on his body. It appeared all wounds could be inflicted by someone who wanted to make him suffer. However, the investigation was a joint investigation with the FBI, and the FBI would not determine it was homicide. After reviewing all available evidence, they concluded it was more than likely Jonathan Luna committed suicide that night, stabbing himself 36 times with his own pocket knife. Many would find the possibility that Jonathan took his own life that night utterly bizarre. Why would Luna, a hard-working prosecutor with a wife and 2 children, do this? And even if he did intend to, why drive through 3 states to do so? Did he know someone in Lancaster County? How did he happen onto that remote road in the dark? But ultimately, the question to ask is, why did he choose to stab himself 36 times? Surely if this was his intention, there would be a much simpler and quicker way. But this argument could also be flipped over. As a former FBI criminal profiler pointed out, if someone was waiting for Luna, perhaps in the back with the intention of murder, you would use a weapon that would have taken care of business quickly. A Swiss Army style knife found at the scene killed Luna. A penknife or Swiss Army knife is not the type of weapon you would use in a homicide, especially not the victim's, and many of the stab wounds are shallow, perhaps hesitation wounds. There is also the accidental death theory, that Luna was fabricating a kidnapping and attack and that he went too far. Officials believe Luna could have stabbed himself 36 times to gain sympathy from co-workers and possibly DiMaggio. According to one federal official, the fatal wound, the puncturing of the carotid artery, may have been an accident. For those involved in this case, there are people that believe the case is over and resolved, and others who hope that one day new information will come forward that will lead to a conviction in this case. However, at the moment, although the case is not officially closed, it's at a standstill. And what happened to Jonathan Luna that night is still up for debate.